In the year 1274, a storm was coming, both natural and human. On the distant horizon of Japan, sails appeared like ghosts in the mist. They bore the insignia of the most fearsome empire the world had ever seen, the Mongols. Behind them stood Kublai Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan and ruler of the Yuan dynasty of China. Japan, a land of proud warriors and sacred tradition, was about to face its greatest test. The Mongol Empire was a juggernaut. By the mid-13th century, it stretched from the frozen steppes of Russia to the deserts of Persia, from the Great Wall of China to the shores of Korea. After conquering China, Kublai Khan turned his gaze east, to the islands of Japan. He sent emissaries to demand submission. The Japanese shogunate refused. No tribute, no surrender. In the eyes of the Mongols, this was defiance, and defiance had to be punished. In the autumn of 1274, Kublai Khan launched an armada from Korea. Nearly 900 ships carried over 20,000 Mongols, Chinese, and Korean soldiers. This was not just a military force, it was a symbol of imperial wrath. The Mongols came with firebombs, composite bows, and tactics unknown to the samurai. They would not fight honorably, they would fight to win. The first target was Tsushima Island, a small but strategic outpost between Korea and Japan. It was here that the Mongols landed on November 4th, 1274. Defending the island was So Sukekuni, a local samurai commander with just 80 men under his banner. The Mongols landed with overwhelming force, but Sukekuni and his men did not run. They drew their swords, mounted their horses, and charged into history. They fought not to win, but to delay, to bleed the enemy, to show them that Japan would not be taken easily. By nightfall, Sukekuni was dead, his head displayed as a trophy. Tsushima was burned, the women enslaved. The Mongols moved on. From Tsushima, the fleet sailed to Iki Island. Here, too, resistance was brave but futile. The Mongols' use of coordinated archery, signal drums, and gunpowder weapons shattered the Japanese defenses. The island fell within days. Entire communities were slaughtered. The next target was the Japanese mainland, specifically Hakata Bay in Kyushu. The Mongols now prepared for their decisive strike. On November 19, 1274, the Mongol fleet anchored at Hakata Bay. The Japanese defenders, thousands of samurai, stood waiting. But they were not prepared for what they faced. The Mongols didn't engage in single combat. They fought in ranks with volleys of arrows, flanking maneuvers, and terrifying explosives called thunder crash bombs. Japanese horses panicked. Samurai were thrown into chaos. For the first time, Japan experienced total war, but the defenders didn't break. As night fell, the Mongols withdrew to their ships, possibly to regroup. Then nature struck. That night, a violent typhoon swept through Hakata Bay. Japanese records say it was the hand of the gods. Ships crashed into one another. Anchors snapped. Thousands of invaders were thrown into the sea. The storm decimated the fleet, ravaged, demoralized, and unable to resupply. The Mongol commanders had no choice. They retreated. The invasion had failed. Japan was saved, not by sword or strategy alone, but by what the Japanese would call kamikaze, the divine wind. The cost was high. Tsushima and Iki were devastated. Thousands lay dead. But Japan had survived. In the years to come, the shogunate would take no chances. Coastal defenses were rebuilt. Watchtowers, stone walls, and garrisons were constructed. And when the Mongols returned in 1281, they would meet a far more prepared Japan, and once again the fury of another typhoon. the legend of the divine wind would become part of Japan's national identity. A reminder that their land was protected not only by warriors but by destiny. The invasion of 1274 was more than a failed campaign. It was a clash of civilizations. The unstoppable force of the Mongol Empire met the immovable spirit of the samurai, and in that battle a storm was born, one that would echo through history.